What's cracking, everybody? They should have never gave your boy. They should have never gave me a fog machine. I'm using it. Review coming soon. But anyway, today on this episode of Content and Cash, DJI is dropping some heat. Sony is teasing the camera with neck-breaking angles, and your favorite budget gear brands, they just announced a price hike. Let's talk survival mode in this week's episode of Content and Cash. Let's do it.
You're listening to Content and Cash, a FlashFilm Academy podcast. If you want to learn how to take pretty pictures, this is not the place. If you're ready to make a living by learning the business behind the camera, buckle up, because it's time to turn passion into profit with your host, Ty Turner.
Perfect. Let's get this show on the roll. Let's chop it up. Listen, today we're going to do some things. We're going to talk about some things that's real important. We got a great tip of the week. We got some stuff in this show. Sit tight, all right? So welcome to Content Cash, powered by FlashFilm Academy. This is the place you go where you really want to learn the business, all right? I'm Ty Turner, running the one-man band setup, and this is the only place to teach content creators like you how to build a business and not just a portfolio. So before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm going to post some things on here, and follow me wherever you're listening to or watching, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, or whatever, because we're everywhere. All right, first things first, every episode I like to start with camera news. All right, so let's start with DJI teasing a new flagship drone, and I'm also going to mention the source because it's Digital Camera World. I don't want you to think I'm making it up, and if it's incorrect, it's probably their fault. Anyway, DJI hints at a better flagship drone with better imaging, longer flight time, and smarter tracking. So drone shooters, get ready because this could be an upgrade worth going after. For those who don't know, listen, the Inspire 1 is still dope. The Inspire 2 is incredible. If the Inspire 2 came out today, it would still be dope. I just want to see what they're going to do. I don't really see a need for an upgrade. I'm just curious to see what they're going to do. But I want to see what the flight times. I've always been curious of when the flight times are going to get to like an hour of flight time. That would be nuts, but dope. And I ain't talking about, DJI increased the flight time last time, but they added 2 batteries. So did they really increase it, or is that cheating? Maybe they increased the payload. Who knows? But the time got increased thanks to the big batteries. All right. Anyway, let's get to the next segment. Sigma is announcing price hikes starting in June, and this is from Digital Camera World. Sigma raises prices due to tariffs. Who didn't see that coming? This is for lenses and accessories. It'll cost you more in weeks. And I don't know how the new tariff truce for 90 days is going to affect this. Let me say this too. Hold up, pause. Let's get off script. I wouldn't be surprised if there is some price inflation because of the confusion of tariff prices. I wouldn't be surprised if companies start raising prices just to raise prices because people are confused and they got a reason to raise prices. We're going to talk about raising prices later for you because it's something that you need to know about before you raise your prices. Because right now is the season to raise prices, obviously. All right? Got it? Good. All right. So you may want to either buy your stuff now or wait. For me, I'm a used market bandit. I like to go and hit up Facebook Marketplace just to see what's popping. That's just me. I got all the gear I need. I don't need more. And we'll get to that later. It ain't about gear. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. All right. Next, let's talk about another company that's raising prices. And this is something I ran into at NAB. Blackmagic Design is raising U.S. prices. This is another article from Digital Camera World. And Blackmagic is up in the cost on everything from cameras to switchers. Why? Tariffs. That's why. There you go. Now you know. When I was at NAB, man, these guys were losing it. They were S-wording bricks because they didn't know the price of nothing. They didn't know how they can compete. They didn't know where they were in the marketplace. They were scared at NAB. That was the number one topic at NAB was tariffs. It wasn't AI technology. It wasn't LED screens. It was tariffs. Because all of those companies, all your there's not. What's an American camera manufacturer? Name one. Red. That's it. Okay, but I guarantee you, they probably getting a sensor from Sony or something from this. You know what I'm saying? Like even your most American companies are getting parts from other places. So you're going to see a price hike everywhere. So goodbye value of the dollar. Anyway, I just think you got to be mindful of it. Next, Sony is to drop a new E-mount camera May 28th. And this is from Sony Alpha Rumors. The new Sony camera is coming with a tilting EVF, an old school twist on new tech. And it's supposed to be great for run and gun shooters who need flexibility in the field. Let me be real. This ain't a flagship camera. This ain't an Alpha series. It's probably, it is Alpha series, but like an A6500 or something like that. And I want you to, camera companies are understanding what Apple understood a few years ago when they made the changes to Final Cut. A majority of people using my equipment are making TikTok videos, not movies. A majority of people that's using my equipment is making YouTube content, not shooting commercials, not working for businesses, really the only place where quality really affects things are movies. That's it. Any camera on the market right now that's considered new, you can go shoot content for any business and make hundreds of thousands. And I say that because we have students in FlashFilm Academy who are getting $50,000 and $60,000 contracts using iPhones. And we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that next, actually. You know what I'm saying? We'll talk about that next. Let me ask you this. Right now, is there post in the comments something that you want to buy before the tariffs hit and the prices start, making everything go up? Next, we're going to talk about breaking down your pricing strategy because it may be killing your profits. And it's perfect given today's topic is you pricing your stuff. So we're going to talk about that in our tip of the week. In fact, we got 2 tips of the week this week. But first things first, before I move forward, let me also mention that we got our Capture and Convert kit available over at FlashFilm Academy. And this thing right here, let me be real with you. 5 courses, 2 ebooks. If this don't... That's loud. I had to wait for that. If this don't help you land clients, I don't know what will. That alone should put you in a position where you can get enough clients to go and get the full membership. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. I'm giving you the game. I'm giving you enough game to make enough money so I can give you the rest of the game, if that makes sense. So let me clarify that. The goal of the free Capture and Convert kit is simply that. It's just to tweak how you think about business so that you realize you don't know what you don't know. And there's a lot that you don't know. And we have to go out and seek that information because the difference between $100 video and $100,000 video is not the gear. They have an excess of gear because they have the budget to buy whatever they want. It ain't a big difference in quality. Not to the noticeable eye. So you got to know the difference. You got to know how to present yourself in a way that holds more value. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So first things first, let's talk about stop quoting from the gut. You got to use a formula, right? A lot of randomly guess, when you randomly guess what feels fair to quote, it don't work. Right? The solution is to use a formula. Even if that formula is cost plus time plus value plus overhead, that equals your rate. And look, we talk about this heavily really in all 3 modules, but we started off with module 1. That's where we started off. Every module goes deeper into pricing because every module builds on the other one. And every module takes you to the next level of business. By module 3, your minimum job should be $30,000, $20,000, unless you just want to take a $10,000 job. That's on you. But what we're starting module 3, you should have, if you follow it, you should have everything in place where when people land on your website and they only got $1,000 to spend, they're going to be like, this company's too expensive. Perfect. We've disqualified the lowballers, the tire kickers, the exposure shoppers. We've disqualified them. And that's what we want to do. Your brand should be doing that. So think about this. Whenever you price from the gut, a lot of freelancers, without a formula, you can't avoid scope creep, and you can't win bigger retainers. So let me explain what scope creep is and why this matters. And let me use a mechanic as an example, because we've all dealt with mechanics. When you deal, so there are mechanics that have pricing formulas, right? There are books and computer programs that mechanics use to understand what they should be charging you, right? Based off the car, the part, the labor, they already got a formula. That's why when you go to a lot of like high end, or not high end, like dealership level, mechanics, they can look at a book and say, "Oh, you need this part replaced. Okay, this is the price for the part, and this is the price for the labor." Other mechanics eyeball it and be like, I guess I can do it for 50." When you need more stuff done, they can't give you an accurate price that makes sense. So if you pricing it from the gut, just saying I want to do it for 500, and somebody say they want to add on another few jobs, you going back to your gut to check out to understand what that price is. And if it's wrong, or if it's too high or too low, the client gonna be like, "Well, that's weird. All of this is that, but just to add this, we go here, or just to add this is less." Because when I divide these 10 videos, hypothetically, easy number talking, by this $1,000, it's $100 a video. Why are you charging me $250 to add 2 more videos? Because you don't have a formula. You gotta have a pricing formula. That's where a lot of people who get in this industry mess up, and they can't quote prices accurately. And let's talk about scope creep. Let me talk about that a little bit, because I think that's important. I don't want to miss that. Scope creep, and we're going to use another mechanic as an example. Scope creep is when they price it from gut, and they get in there and they like, "Yeah, I'm gonna charge you to fix your transmission $1,000." And they pull the transmission and they open it up and they realize it's way more damage than they thought. And they like, "I'm not gonna make a profit. Either I'm not gonna make a profit, or I gotta charge this client extra." We've all been in situations where, I give you an example. We got a client that want to film in a certain location. We get to that location and the location audio is terrible. So now I got to treat it for sound. Well, you should have a price for that, for treating the room for sound, because I've just added time onto the shoot. And I need to know what I'm getting myself into. And I need to have parameters in place to protect myself from this cutting into my profit. Because you'll get there and have to spend an extra 30 minutes setting up moving blankets and all of this stuff and rugs. And guess who got to eat that? You got to eat that. So if you don't have a formula in place, you're going to eat a lot of stuff that you shouldn't be eating, or you're going to have to go back to the client with your tail between the legs and say, "You know what? I thought it was going to be this, but it's going to be a little more because," and they looking at you like, "I feel like you're trying to get me right now." And you've been in situations where you got into something at a good price and they were like, "Man, it's going to be more than we thought." You don't want that. You don't want to be that guy. All right. So, let me ask you a question. Post in the comments, what part of your pricing formula do you struggle with? I want to know. And also, if you have questions, this is where you can go to get to be question of the week. You can send a text message, audio or video, and I will pick one every week to have them to be a part of the podcast. All right. So in the comments, which one part of your pricing formula do you struggle with? So number 2, let's talk about lesson 2, because we don't want to just raise our prices. We want to raise perceived value, right? A lot of people raise prices without explaining why. And the solution is to boost perceived value through packaging, testimonials, and visual presentation. So 2 identical videos, one sell for $300, the other sell for $1,500 based off the pitch deck alone. So, it's so important that I stress to you the value side of it. And look, let's be 100. Where a lot of freelancers, content creators struggle, where they drop the ball, is on presenting value. And this is the realest stuff I'm going to tell you in 30 seconds. That big, thick layer of saturated content creators are selling based off quality, gear, images, them being passionate about it. As soon as you move into the area of selling value, bro, it's empty. It's a blue ocean. Nobody is there because a lot of content creators aren't learning business. They think they know it. They think because they're a victim of business, they know it, and it don't translate because they're price shoppers and they're trying to compete on price. And I'm not competing on price because I offer value. You compete on price, bruh. I'm not. I'm going to make your client pay 3 times as much as they would have paid you because I've provided more value. And I've said this once and I'll say it again. It's very important that you understand that in 2025, your clients don't want video or photo. They don't wake up saying, I need more pictures or I need video. They want the result of that content. So the result of that content should solve their problem. That is valuable to them. Having beautiful images from a guy who's passionate and been doing it for 50 years, who got the latest and greatest gear, who bring out a big gimbal to capture a 2-minute talking headshot just to make it look dope and parallax and sliders. They don't care about that. Stop trying to sell your clients upsells because you got a new slider or you want a new piece of gear. Always, 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 and it's something that we punch you in the face with all day and night right here, and I'm going to continue to do it. Always solve the problem. Make your value tied to the solution, not tied to the gear you use to provide that solution. Your value always, and I mean always, need to be tied to the solution. But guess what? You can't do that when you film for everybody. You can't do that when your portfolio is everything. You can't do that when you don't have a niche. You can't do that when you're just trying to sell something to somebody. You have to niche down. You have to be very direct because what one person value, the other person don't value. A cup of water in Alaska ain't worth as much as it is in the Sahara Desert. That's obvious, right? So who are you selling to? Because you're all over the place because you don't know and you're not disciplined enough to say, this is my target audience and this is what I'm gonna go after. These are things that we talk about heavily in FlashFilm Academy. And once you adapt to this ideal way of thinking, the game slows down and get a lot easier. Those guys who are selling on, I got 4K and I've been, I took pictures and look at my portfolio. I can tell those guys because when I go to their website, they John Smith Photography, they John Smith Instagram page, or they got some name they thought was cool, like Domino Imagery or something that makes no sense because they've never built their brand to sell to somebody. They built their brand based off what they like and what they think is cool. But guess what? You can't afford you. So nobody who like what you like can afford you. That's why you're getting lowballers because guess what? You made it from your head where you wouldn't spend $1 million. You wouldn't spend 10,000 on video. So how are you creating something for somebody who will? People say, I want to get these big tickets. I want to get more money. How? When everything about your brand is based off a mindset that would not pay $10,000 for video. So how can I create something around a problem I don't have? Does that make sense? If that makes sense, just put a thumbs up in the comment. Just like the video. Just say that makes sense in the comments. Because I'm trying to help you change how you think about business. The camera is a tool that you use to provide a solution. It's a stethoscope for doctors. You don't hire a doctor because they got the best stethoscope. Who cares? You hire a doctor that can assess my problem and provide a solution. That's what you should be doing. That's where the money's at in content creation in 2025 and beyond. Those are the companies that's not worried about AI taking their job because they're providing more than a pretty picture. All right? Good. Which one way you boost your brand's value or your brand's perceived value? Let's talk it up in the comments. Tell me that as well. All right. Next, I'm going to answer a viewer question that could flip how you pitch your next client. All right. We're going to do that next. Real quick, if you haven't, make sure you go over and you go ahead and join the FlashFilm Academy. I know I got the button here somewhere. And join the team. I thought I had the button here somewhere, but I guess I don't. Whatever. Here it is. Make sure you join the team, and you can learn things like this over at the Academy, because we like to change how you think. And the traditional standard way of photography and videography is dead. It's gone. And if you don't pivot, you're gone. If you don't pivot, we're going to go old school with this one. This is what I need you to do. I need you to go ahead and go on Craigslist, go on Facebook Marketplace, use the camera you got to take some really pretty pictures of your gear and post it on there, because you're not going to make it, fam. You ain't going to make it. Sorry, not sorry. Somebody got to tell you. Listen, you got 1 million YouTube channels to sell you stuff. This is the dirty, harsh reality of business in this industry. It's not pretty and glamorous. It's not new lenses and, anamorphic lenses. And it's not that. It's not sensor size. And it ain't how it is understanding business, understanding how to sell your talent. And I meet so many very talented content creators that don't know how to monetize their talent. And this is off script, and I'm going to tangent a little bit. But if you've noticed through history, anytime you see an artist, they didn't pay me, I'm broke, because they didn't know how to monetize their talent. I'm teaching you how to monetize your talent. Monetize your ability to work so that you can start a business and live off that business. Period. FlashFilm Academy is here to help you monetize your talent. Ain't no middleman. I'm not going to be the Uber and go out and get the clients and charge you for them. I'm going to teach you how to go after it and how to do it. We've taught others, plenty of others, that started with, like I said, cell phones, and now look where they are. They're buying new cars and houses. So you'd be surprised when you join the membership. You'll see people posting about, hey, I joined the membership. Thanks to y'all, I bought a new house. I bought a new car. I had a guy run up on me and tell me, my wife don't got to work because of you. I think that's dope. So the question of the week is very simple. How do I price projects when clients want unlimited revisions? How do I price it when clients want unlimited revisions? And the answer is this. We build revision limits into our contract. Anything beyond that is add-on pricing. So frame it as protecting both sides. Clarity avoids confusion, and it keeps timelines tight. And let me kind of talk to this for a minute, because I think it's important that we think about, we got a system for revisions that we talk about. I'm not gonna go into detail because I ain't gonna give it away. If you're a member, then you get it. But I will tell you this, we provide content in layers. And once that's approved, we move to the next layer. All right, that's the quick answer. When you're really ready, you can go on over and be a member, and we'll tell you. We'll give you more. It's a lot to explain, because it's different per niche. It's different for what you're delivering. It's different per product or service. It's a lot to explain. It ain't just behind a paywall to be behind a paywall. But usually when creators have questions, there's 3 questions I have for them before we can answer that. Because what works for a photographer in Maine won't work for a videographer in Arizona. And I don't want to teach you what to think. I want to teach you how to think. That's the difference. I want to make sure you know how to think about your industry, your skill set, your location, your ideal client. All of those come into play with that answer. And it's not just me saying, pay me and I'll give it to you. It's not that. It's me trying to help you understand what needs to be in place so that we can get the correct answer to solve that problem. And if you don't, and that's why I say you don't know what you don't know. Those are things that I've had people say, oh, why don't you just give it? It's not about giving it to you free. It's about understanding about your business so I can give you the right answer. And guess what? I'm not about to stop what I'm doing to give you that answer if you're not a member, because I got members that I work with and I give them that answer. I get a lot of emails and Instagram posts about, hey, Ty, I got a this coming up and I need some advice. If you're not a member, I'm sorry. I'm not going to answer it. I don't have a lot of time. I'm dedicated to the people that support the Academy. That's why they're there. And you know what's crazy? When you go in the Academy and there's 100 people that's ahead of you that's doing what you're doing, they can also chime in and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Oh, you in Arizona? I'm in Arizona. This is what I did. And you have it. So anyway, that's the benefit of it. For those who have questions that they want to submit, I'm going to post the link again, because It's over here somewhere. I'm gonna post the link again. There we go. So you can ask your questions. You can ask it via audio, video, text, and I will choose one for next episode. All right? Go ahead and do that. Now, let me also thank you for rocking with me for another episode of Content Cash. I'm not gonna keep you too long, but let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, and it's a question I ask you all the time. First off, let me say this. If you're tired of guessing on how to grow your business, grab the Capture and Convert kit. The question I'm gonna ask you is the question I ask you every week. Every business around you need content. Why aren't they hiring you? When you're ready to answer that question, join FlashFilm Academy. And I wanna double down and emphasize why value is the thing we're going for. Value is what gets you the big jobs. Now, the equation to get to the answer of what value is depends on a lot of things. Because what's valuable to you ain't valuable to him or ain't valuable to him. Okay? We gotta figure out the equation before we get to the answer of what value is. And a lot of that equation has to do with your talent, your ideal client, your location, your skill set, what you feel like and want to offer. That has to be answered before I help you determine what's valuable to your ideal client. It ain't about what your mama like. It ain't about what you think. And that's a lot of times the most crushing thing a lot of FlashFilm Academy members get when they join, because they, especially with module 1 is boot camp. You're going to hate me and then you're going to love me. But you're going to start off hating me only because a lot of the stuff that you have been doing, we got to throw out. When you go to basic training, anybody who's been to the military, the moment you go in, their goal is to get rid of all your bad habits. You got to learn how to walk again with them. You got to know what foot to take a step in, what hand you can hold a bag in, what kind of backpack, what color backpack, everything. You got to learn how to stand when you talk to people, when you go to basic training. And it get rid of years of doing it the way you've been doing it to do it the way that works. And it's hard. It's hard. It's hard for the average person to be like, okay, I got to stop doing what I've been doing. But we also provide information and results as to why this need to be that. So a lot of people get in, they've been trying to figure it out. They get in, they realize I'm not getting traction, and they think they just one tweak away, but they're not. They're a whole mindset shift away. And we just got to make things different. And it's okay. Business is business. Just because you're a victim of it, don't mean you know how to do it. So with that being said, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you follow us for the next episode. Make sure you go to questions.flashfilmacademy.com. Ask your questions. I would love to have your question on the next episode so we can chop it up and talk about it. I don't care how crazy it is. Ask it. Bring it. All right? Y'all be safe. I'll see y'all in the next video.